Deshaun has a lot of trust and faith in Hunter that he's going to be open because he gets open in practice. And so sometimes in those big games, you want to go to the guys that you have that comfort and high trust level. And he's definitely played well for us, and hopefully he'll continue to do that.
There's that confidence level. I mean, not only just to go out onto a field in the national championship game against Alabama and play well, but just to show up at practice as a walk-on and think, yeah, I can go out and compete with Mike Williams. I can go out and compete with Sean Peak. It takes a lot of confidence to be able to just do that, I would assume.
Yeah, both he and obviously I've kind of compared him in the past to Adam Humphries. When they first got to Clemson, I don't think they really knew what to expect and kind of where they were. And we're not going to remember whenever I told Adam that we were going to play him as a freshman, and he said, "You really think I'm ready?" I had to assure him early on. I'm like, "Oh yeah, trust me, I wouldn't put you out there if you couldn't do it." Then all of a sudden they go out there, start making plays, and they figure out, "Oh, I can do this." And that was the same way with Hunter. I think he's played quarterback in high school and option quarterback. Really hadn't played a lot of wide receivers. So I think going through, making plays in practice and getting an opportunity in games making plays, and once they do that, I think they it helps build a lot of confidence.
Jeff, how excited are Dion and Mike to be able to get in this game after what they went through last year?
Yeah, they're very excited, and I think right before we left the locker room there Saturday night in Arizona, I walked over to Dion and said, "Welcome to the playoffs." And same thing. I talked to Mike, kind of in pregame before we got warmed up out there. I said, "Man, unbelievable! A year ago, you were in the same stadium and had to stand here and watch the game, and now how great does it feel to be back and be able to play?" So I know they're excited, and probably the only people more excited than them is the coaches and Deshaun.
Jeff, when you look at this defense and just the amount of touchdowns that this defense is able to create off turnovers, when you kind of go through the game plan, is it very imperative that your guys are in the right position, making sure that they're doing their jobs to, make sure that they don't turn the ball over and force those kind of situations where they can score?
No question. Obviously, every week we talk about turnovers, and one thing that we say all the time is, hey, we protect the ball, we win. I mean, we're in a position where we feel like if we don't turn the ball over, that we can beat anybody that we go against. And it becomes even a bigger challenge when you're playing Alabama. And we thought about, do we sit here, do we show them all the different scores and all that? And somebody said, hey, they've seen them all throughout the year. When you turn on the TV and every week Alabama's scoring a touchdown on defense. And so it's definitely critical. One thing that you gain respect when you go back and watch it wasn't just because the other team just made real poor decisions or just easily handed the ball to them, they ran it in. I mean, they caused a lot of those turnovers. And then the other thing is when those DBs catch the ball, they know what to do with it. I mean, they're going to score, and they get there in a hurry, and the defensive linemen. So that's a big part. Obviously, talking to our guys is, our defense has a job to do, and they're going to, do a great job, working on defending their offense. And we got a job to do also in protecting the ball and not giving them any scores whenever we're out there on offense. And if we do that, then we're going to obviously put ourselves in a lot better position because, those defensive scores have definitely been something that they've thrived on this year.
Is the challenge for your receivers and Deshaun in the passing game similar to last week, and that there's going to be a lot of tight windows that you have to fit the ball into?
Yeah, absolutely. I just left a position meeting with our wide receivers going through, watching video, and I mean, every single catch that they make, I mean, it's only because the ball's thrown perfectly in the only spot that he can be thrown. They got a triangle around you. They got three guys around you, and the ball's in the one spot. And so, that's a big point to our guys. The wide receivers are involved with that, and their releases and their depth and their route and being exactly where they're supposed to be on that field to be in the window. And then obviously Deshaun putting the ball in that window. And that's why their defense is so successful, because very few teams have a quarterback that can make all those throws at the same place where they got wide receivers that can get to those areas. So it takes all of that just to complete a pass. And that's what good defenses do. They make you earn every yard that you get. And there's not a whole lot of free running wideouts just because they had busted coverages or a guy got beat on a release or something like that. They make you earn everything.
What do you feel like winning or losing the game on Monday means for Deshaun's legacy as a whole here?
Yeah, I think that's what Coach Sweeney's already told these guys in the past, that what Deshaun and these other seniors and juniors that may be leaving have done at Clemson is unprecedented, and it's something that's going to be remembered for a long time. I mean, they've had a big part in changing Clemson and changing the national perspective and the brand that Clemson has across the country, and everything that they've done on the field and off the field. And what a win would do is just put a exclamation point on that career. And that's what we talk about. These guys. I was talking to the offense yesterday and just saying, hey, when I think about all of you guys, especially those guys that this may be your last game, the word that comes to mind is best. And that's a word that we use around Clemson a lot. Coach Sweeney has it up, best is the standard. And when I think about, Deshaun and Wayne and Leggett and Mike and Jay and, Artavis and, all those guys, I think about some of the best players to come through Clemson that have allowed this offense to be one of the best over the last few years that we've had at Clemson. But in order to be the best, there's one thing that we haven't done. Out of everything else that we've accomplished, the one thing that we haven't done is, hold up that trophy at the national championship. And so that's what this group has an opportunity to do. But there's not. I mean, to be honest, there really hasn't been any pressure. In these big games, I felt zero pressure. Our guys played very loose last week. And I think our guys will be confident as they go into this game and be excited to play and lay it all out in the line. And then after 60 minutes, we'll see where we are. But I don't think that a loss in this game would diminish what Deshaun and all those guys mean to Clemson and what they've accomplished since they've been here.
I was talking to Tony earlier, and he mentioned how you guys are so much alike, and since you've worked together, you've started to even think alike. How fun is that, to start a day during the course of game week or whatever, and know that you're on the same page before you even really start talking about the game plan?
Oh, it's been special. I mean, it's well documented. Whenever it was kind of a little different setup, whenever Coach Sweeney announced that we were having co-coordinators, but for Tony and I, it's been very smooth. And to be honest, it's not just Tony and I. All the offensive coaches in that room, there's just a great chemistry, a confidence. Everybody knows their role. Everybody knows their job, and we've got it split up where, and the players kind of feed off of that. I think one reason that our players are very unselfish. I mean, you think about all the playmakers that we have and the stats and all that aren't quite there, is because they see that from our offense. We don't have one guy that's up there trying to get all the attention and be in the national news and all that stuff. It's really been, hey guys, we work together to help you guys be successful in the field. And I think that's kind of carried over. But Tony and I, it's been very smooth for us, and our whole offensive staff has done an excellent job.
Jeff, back 2 years ago when you got the position, was there a party that said, wow, I wonder how this is going to work?
Well, I mean, I think there was a little bit just because we haven't done it before. Yeah. There was an unknown, but I think it's kind of, it's kind of like whenever you get married, you know that you love your spouse, but what's this going to look like? My wife and I got married when we were 23. We knew we loved each other. We're going to do it together, but there was a lot of questions about what this looks like going through life, and so I think it's probably similar for Tony and I. Hey,
so you guys are married?
Yeah, we basically are. We are married. Whenever we come over here to the football office, he's my football better half, I guess. When we're over here.
But a lot of times, you've seen some co-coordinator relationships that are explosive in the locker room that don't work out. Obviously, lack of ego, is that the biggest thing? And the fact that you guys aren't such good friends, but sometimes even friends don't. Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing from day one, both Tony and myself, our attitude has been it's all about the players. And whenever Coach Morris left, and there was a lot of maybe questions getting ready for that Oklahoma game, that first bowl game. And, our very first message to the players is, hey guys, this is your offense. This isn't Coach Morris's offense. This isn't my or Coach Elliott's offense. This is your offense. So I think whenever guys kind of come together and both share that same attitude, then it's not about, any one person. And it's really about those players and giving them every opportunity to be successful. And it's worked well for us.
It's obviously not, but is it as simple as just plugging in? Obviously, you got great players, but how sophisticated does this playbook need to be, because you do have such great players on that side?
Well, there's a balance. I think, the better you are, the less you have to do. But at the same time, the more experienced guys that you have, you can do a little bit more. We did a little bit more against Ohio State than we probably would if we had a younger group on offense, but it's because these guys can handle that. And so I think there's a fine line, and it's something that that's really what we're doing right now during the week is we're throwing out all the good new ideas, putting them on the board, and then, by the time we get the game plan set, half of them would be scrapped and half of them we'll keep. And so it's kind of a process of being able to do that, and there's a lot of communication between all the offensive coaches and ideas and conversations and all that goes in to play before you really put together that final game plan.
When you look at Alabama's defense, you guys had so much success last year offensively. How much can you take from that game? And it's a new group, new unit, but how much can you take from that to try to build upon it?
Well, I think it goes both ways. Obviously our guys will have confidence. I think Coach Sweeney's said it earlier this week. Last year we went into the game, thinking that we could have success, and I think this year we go into the game knowing that we can because of our previous experiences. The other side of it is, last year we probably caught them a little bit. Some of their players probably caught them off guard a little bit, and we're going to have their full respect, and we're going to get their A game for sure. And so it's going to be a very competitive matchup. But I definitely think there's confidence that our guys have going into this game based off the performance of last year.
What stands out most about that defense? Front seven, turnovers, them taking turnovers back, aside from the obvious?
There's a lot that stands out. I think that the guys up front, and number 10, middle linebacker, is as good a player as we've ever played against, just sideline to sideline, very disruptive, very fast, reads your schemes extremely well. But the pressure that they put on you up front, I think, is really what separates them from a lot of the other defenses out there. And then the fact that they're very opportunistic. You cannot waste a play against this type of defense. You have to make every single one of your plays count. Not that they're all going to be successful, but you can't have several wasted plays in a drive against this kind of group, or it'll be a long day.
Naturally, turnovers are a big storyline every single game, but when you face a defense that has scored so many points off of turnovers, does it make you emphasize it even more to your guys?
Yeah, turnovers, you got to be careful about emphasizing it too much. We try to emphasize it every practice. We start our practices with, every offensive guy has a ball in their hand, or even during the flex and during stretch, we're coming by trying to strip it out. So it's something that you have to talk about constantly, but it's not something that we want to talk more about or less about based off of how many turnovers we've had or who we're playing that week. We want to keep it consistent. And but there's no doubt it'll be a major factor in this game on Monday night.
Is there any doubt ever at all, maybe just even a sliver, that making that big jump to co-offensive coordinator? As a competitor, you take the job, but was there ever a situation where you think, this is a heck of a jump? Am I ready?
Yeah, I think growing up in this profession, you kind of have goals and aspirations, and you kind of have the way that you would like it all to work out. But sure, there's moments and times all the time, even now, that are we giving the guys the best opportunity to win? But I think at the end of the day, that we feel like our players have confidence in us as offensive coaches that we're going to give them a great game plan. But we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, to be sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to give them the best opportunity to be successful on game day.
You ever seen a line like theirs with the combination of power and speed? The mix of
the closest would be last year. Would be them last year. That's I think they are a little bit more athletic at end this year, and it's the same players. It's just 56 and 22 came off the bench last year and were kind of third down guys last year. Now they're every down players. 56 reminds me of Vic Beasley. That's exactly what he looks like. He may even be a little bit further ahead of where Vic was, at times in college. So I think the combination, and then also, they got the big guy, Allen, that can play inside and outside of his size, is incredible. So there's no doubt about it when you turn on the video, those guys up front, stand out, and by far the best defensive front that we played in my 8 years at Clemson.